Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning. Oh, geez. Wait. I forgot to turn on the camera. Jeez. Hold on a second here. There we go. How are you guys this morning? It's another week. And this is kind of like the in-between week before the election, right? So, this is going to be interesting. Shall we, first let's go and, check out the charts. See if anything interesting has happened. So here we got ZN. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty interesting. So they are down overnight again. Hold on, my nose is like running here and I need to blow my nose. Okay, anyways, I'd say that's a pretty significant move there. Let's see. Let's come over to a daily chart and see if we can glean anything from that. Okay. Well, we're still kind of in a noisy area. You know, honestly, like going back, I still kind of think some of this action way back here was, I always kind of felt like that was a little bit like unjustified. So I don't think it should surprise me, you know, that where we're at and everything. All right. S&P 500. It's chopping around. It's looking a little bit better today, though. I mean, they got a decent 3-day trend going here. Oil. Ooh, oil. So that must be rollover, huh? Yeah. Oil rolling over there. It's quite a bit lower, though. 67. Ooh. Ooh, into the 60s. We see 65 soon. Well, silver and gold are holding that range pretty good. Copper's starting to develop a pretty solid range here too. But of course on the bottom end of its recent range. Japanese yen, another big downside overnight. And Bitcoin looking pretty okay still. Okay, so coming back over here, we got a couple of things to fix because I had this issue again. I think it's because I restarted my machine, honestly. But we get this issue again where, like, the windows all opened on the wrong screen. Oh man, how many Ninja Script windows do I have over here? Good grief. Okay. So let's pull you over here. There we go. Luckily, Aquasnap makes this so easy for me to just lock the windows into place. So apparently, it looks like I need to redo my monitor calibrations because it doesn't look right this morning. And you. And you, yes. Okay. that over here too. Minimize that. Pull that up. There we go. All right. And good morning, Octavius. Good morning, Uzi. Okay, so next thing is, oh yes, I had this. Is this the correct one? Let's see here. I think it is. Okay, yes. So I went back and did a little bit more work. I changed the strategy around so that you have a start time, an end time, and a stop time. That way you can run it on like regular session or extended session data. And I guess in this particular instance, it wouldn't matter if it was ETH or RTH. In fact, let's just prove that to ourselves real quick and run it on ETH. But some that were like using a moving average, for instance, it could matter, right? Because, you know, that you won't have the correct thing. Yeah, okay, cool. It totally works, yeah. But some if we're like using a moving average or indicators that don't handle session changes very well, right? Then it could matter. And I also changed it so that there's like an end time and a stop time. So like the end time, it will stop, it will not enter into new trades at that time, but it can still hang on to them. The stop time, it will actually exit them. And as I was going through this strategy, I discovered two very interesting things. And granted, it's only a few months worth of data, so we should take it with a grain of salt because we don't really have a whole lot of reliable data here. But I have a theory. It gave me an interesting theory. The first thing is that I found that if I held on to the positions beyond 11 o'clock my time, or rather 1 o'clock Eastern time, that it didn't do very well. Didn't do very well after that time. And that is when the treasury auctions happen. So, theory number one, order flow is not very accurate at predicting the outcome of auctions. Okay, but then the other thing that I noticed is when I was able to get a little bit more data, because before we were basically just seeing this. Before we were basically just seeing this and being like, oh, it's up. This is a pretty good strategy, right? Now we got a little bit more data and it's like, but what is with, you know, again, there's with everything that I see in order flow, there seems to be like really strong regimes. It's not just like, oh, it doesn't work and it's kind of random and it just kind of turns down. No, it's like it will be really good for a while and then it'll be really terrible. And in this case, it's like really, really terrible, right? What's with that? Well, this inflection point right here happens to be the rollover. Isn't that interesting? I wonder. So I've got two theories on this one. Theory number one is order flow indicators don't work very well when open interest is declining. Theory number one. Theory number two, there's something about this that doesn't handle rollovers correctly. I think I can test this. If let's just try changing some NinjaTrader settings here. Options, market data, merge, non-back adjusted. Okay. Now, when I look at a chart right now and we go back to that time period, well, let's just do it like this. If we go back to the very, very beginning, it's saying that it started at about, oh, come on, give me a 06.5. So if I rerun it again with non-back adjusted. 111.065 here. Let me type that here. 111.065. Okay. Rerun it non-back adjusted. Come all the way back. Aha. Okay. So that is correct. No, it doesn't change anything. The prices change, but it doesn't change the results of the backtest. Yeah, that looks pretty much the same. Okay, so that brings me back to, so that I think I just falsified. I probably should do all of these tests on non-back adjusted data. Probably should. I wish that I could change it so that like back tests are done non-back adjusted, but my charts are back adjusted. You know what I mean? Well, anyways. Maybe I can... Yeah, you got me thinking. Okay, so anyways, this is an interesting thing. So I'm wondering if I can go back and like... well, you know, we'll need some more data, but then maybe after gathering some more data, then I can go back and I can compare it to open interest and see if there is actually a correlation with open interest. And if there is, I think that the way that we would maybe adjust this is for the last month of, or the month before, or actually maybe not even the month before. Let's just say X days before rollover. So I think I need to make an indicator that basically tells you how many days are left until expiration. And then because I have an indicator, then I can incorporate it into a strategy. And I can basically say, you know, reverse order flow imbalances when we're getting closer to the rollover. That's my idea. So I thought I'd share that with you. I thought that was interesting. I think we're making some progress there. And today I think we should build that chart. I made a couple of changes. So see if they help there. Uh-oh. This is somebody asking me a question about Tether. How do you send it to Binance? Oh, you're asking the wrong person, man. I haven't done that. Well, actually, I have done that. Not with Tether, though. Well, anyways. Okay, so next thing I need to do is I need to double check. I do have a video coming out today, right? I almost totally forgot about it, but because of, like I edited it like last Thursday or something. But let's just pop in here and make sure that it's still set to come out today. Yes, it's scheduled for today at 7:30. Okay, so in an hour. About dark pools. Okay, shall we try and build this chart? I think I had one up here. Well, so let's close the strategy analyzer first. Let's see here. I've got a couple of charts open here, actually. A big ZN chart. This is a ZN chart, 1 minute. Okay. Level 2 changes, resting orders. So then we also need to add market order imbalance and largest resting orders. Okay. Well, so first thing is that after reloading the chart and everything, my level 2 changes and my resting orders both still load the thing. So if I come into the indicators, I made a couple of changes here. File name style default. Okay. So that means that it is loading it without the GUID, essentially. I guess I have to wait for a bar here to get the market order imbalance. Yes. Okay. Oh, that's funny. I never got rid of this S&P 500 chart. It's just been sitting there this whole time, huh? Well, I'd like to put this over there. But the problem is going to be that if I make it that size, you know what? That's not bad. That's not bad. Let's keep it like that. I do want this one right below cumulative delta. Oh, come on. Why won't you move for me? Move for me. I'll move for you. It's kind of hard to sing with other music in my head. I'm way off too. Market order imbalance. Panel 2. No. Panel 3. Oh, actually. Can I just like move it up like this? No. Okay. 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Okay. Click and drag. I tried that. You didn't see me try that? I tried that, and for some reason with that data series, it doesn't, something about it doesn't like it. Take of the I think you got a couple of it looks like autocorrect is fighting with 007 here via chart properties. Yeah, no, I did that. Watch this. Okay, so I come in here. Oh, it's not even giving me the dots now. I did have the dots. I had the dots, and it wasn't moving. That's weird. Maybe after a couple more bars, it will be easier for me to click on it. But the dots were there. The dots were there, and it was even like telling me, oh, actually, there's no dots. That's interesting. I can click on it, and it's telling me like I can drag it around, but then when I go and I look to replace it, nothing happens, right? So well, maybe I wasn't actually. Maybe my memory is incorrect here, and I was actually not grabbing the series. I don't know, but I fixed it anyways. I knew enough about NinjaTrader to find a way around it anyways. But what do you think about that? How do you think that looks? Maybe I should change the blue and red? I think maybe I should change the blue and red. Yeah, level 2 changes. Let's do stacking. We should make it like cornflower blue. And polling, we should make orange. Oh, it's up there, orange. And then largest resting orders would do the same thing. Make this cornflower blue, and we'll make this orange. There we go. What's your thought on the bonds sell-off? Well, so kind of going back to a little bit of what I was saying on our opening look at the charts here. When it come into ZN, I remember feeling that, especially right in here, that this really strong move up in the bonds was unjustified. I remember that a lot of this was geopolitical tensions with Israel and things like that. Things that never really turned into anything. So that bit kind of doesn't surprise me that we came back from that. And this was the non-farms. Okay. So like, if I were to take that non-farms and come in and say that this was never supposed to happen, then really like down here is like an appropriate level. So like this range, this next range kind of makes sense to me. Okay. But then, you know, if we pop into this area, I'm going to draw a big X there. That kind of makes me start to think like what's going on here. Because you know, like this was like really dire down in here. You know, like even though I do believe that some of the market's expectations for how quickly interest rates will come back down may be a little bit too fantastical. I don't think that we should be, it should be as ugly as it was down in here. So yeah. Now I need to zoom out a little bit more because there was this bit down in here too, right? This was this area from about right here was, you know, countries selling bonds and, you know, the impact of that. So this kind of recovery that we saw here was probably always going to happen. So can you kind of see how, like, I can kind of look at a chart and I can kind of say, well, based on the fundamentals, maybe we should ignore this and this is more serious. But then at the same time, it's kind of like, well, yeah, but the markets are just not very much in line with fundamentals anyways. You know, this was too low. Was that, you know, if I look at this peak here to this peak here, they're pretty close. Like, does that really make sense? Because I think that things are way more dovish here today than they were, you know, the beginning of the year, for instance. So, oh no, I'm sorry. I was looking at I didn't pull you back over. Yeah, sorry. So like, this is pretty close to this. So like, I just feel like that things are way more dovish now than they were back here. Like, we've actually reduced interest rates over here. So that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Like, the markets just are not very good at reflecting fundamentals. That's just the long and short of it. So, you know, I do believe in the longer term that they will push really hard to normalize interest rates. And I'm a little bit concerned that they will err a little bit more on the side of being easy, because the labor market is really tight right now. And if they continue to keep the labor market this tight, then you're going to have a recession. You just will. And so the Federal Reserve is likely to accept a little bit higher inflation than we would like in order to keep the labor market from falling apart, is what I think is likely to happen in here. That's why, you know, gold and silver have been doing very well. And I'm actually in that trade. I have some silver, but I've held that silver for a really, really long time. But that's kind of like the thing that I'm seeing right now. So that's kind of like my view of the bonds right now. Okay, quick explanation on how to interpret your indicators. Well, so that's kind of the thing, is that there's not supposed to be any setup or correct way to do it, right? What we're doing is we're collecting data so that we can do some statistical analysis. and find out if there are some statistical behaviors we can prove that will help us learn how to correctly interpret them. Okay, but I can explain to you what they're doing. So this first indicator is cumulative delta. That's market buys minus market sells. It's not my indicator. The second one here is market order imbalance. That is a rolling window. That is on a rolling 30-minute basis. What is the difference, or what is the percentage of market buys to market sells? So if it's at 0.6, then that means that in the last 30 minutes, 60% of the orders have been market buys. Okay. Level 2 changes. This is telling me how many times something changes in the order book overall. Okay. So if these are really, really high, then that means that there is a lot of changes overall. And I think I have that one. Let's see here. There's a couple of different ways to do this one. But this one, it's telling me overall stacking and overall pulling. Okay. There's also a difference line. I don't know. Maybe we'll turn those on later. But with the way that the caching works, you should be able to change it and see however we want. As long as I'm not changing like the actual properties of it. If I'm changing like the window or something like that, then I have to clear the cache. Okay. Resting orders. This is telling me how many buys there are resting out there on the DOM compared to offers. So it's essentially telling us right now that there are more offers than there are bids on the DOM overall. Okay. And then the largest resting orders, this is telling me what was the largest single change in the depth of market in that time. So if there was like a really big, like 3K order that pulled, then you would come over here on the orange, or on the, I guess it would be on the blue side. You would see this, big 3K show up all of a sudden. Okay. So that's what they're doing. And again, we're just collecting data right now to backtest with. And determine some statistical properties. And also, to get people a little bit more interested in the indicators by having them up there. Because I'm telling you what, man, you are going to see some interesting things on it. You're going to see some interesting things on it that are going to make you be like, I want to use these. I have some bonds maturing on the 7th, probably going to dump the cash into it. Oh. Wait, so does that mean... Oh, into TLT. Yeah, okay. I mean, the difficult thing is that I do see bonds going higher over the long term, but over the short to midterm, they're who knows? Who knows? Is this the best place to buy right now? Like, it looks like an okay place to buy the bonds right now. I still have that chart over there. Is it you buy here and then like eventually it goes higher like that? Like I can totally see that happening, but it might like do this first. Who knows? I kind of think that overall, again, it should go higher in the long run. But is this the best place to buy? Because it could go all the way down into here. And how much heat are you willing to take? If you're doing it with TLT, you're probably okay, right? Because the decline back to the lows, I don't know, Uzi might be able to tell us what percentage that is, but I don't think that it's a huge percentage. So I'm just kind of taking a survey of the market here. So now one thing that's crossing my mind is if I should put the caching on the inventory cost basis. But I've been running inventory cost basis on a tick replay, and it seems to be okay. Oh, well, this chart shouldn't be tick replay. Which means, by the way, that sim delta doesn't work. Oh, but it works. My indicators do it correctly, regardless of... Oh, because I tell it to only do those things when it's live. Let's leave the tick replay on. Let's leave the tick replay on. The last, well, and let's pull it up on TradingView. No, thank you. Can I get it to, yeah, percent. Okay, so if we go to the low back to October, you get almost a 20% decline. Oh, from over here. But it's something like, let's pull it over to here. Okay, so it's something like an 8 to 10% decline. Okay, so I want to do some backtesting work for an algorithm myself, but I'm looking for the best tick-by-tick historical data. I see several options, but the prices and services vary wildly. Do you have any tips? Yeah, well, so I'm really only familiar with CQG and Rhythmic, and I didn't really notice too huge of a difference between them. The big thing that I have noticed is that the historical bid-ask is just not accurate enough, or it's, maybe you could say, is different from what I see live. Let's just put it that way, right? It's different from what I see live. And, you know, maybe it's more accurate, less, I don't know. It's probably less accurate, but it's different from what I see live. And so when you do the back testing, it's just like not the same thing. And so that's why I have resorted to this setup I have where I am doing it myself. Essentially, I'm saving the data myself. And the way that these indicators deal with it, because I also somewhere, oh, and I don't have that on a chart right now, actually. I should add that too. Yeah, where is it? I think it's an alpha data pipe. Yep. I have an indicator that I think I will, because I've never had any issues with it, so I think I will include it in the next release, called Data Pipe. And that will output everything. That will output every level 2 change that you get. It's a lot of data. Like, I was looking back on some of my days, and some of my days were like half a gig. A really active day is half a gig. So it takes up a lot of space. Now, I bought like a 20 terabyte hard drive to save it on. So I should be able to save a couple of years worth of data before I have a problem. And I guess I missed a month. I guess I've lost like the last month. Okay. But these other indicators, these ones that I have up here, it's only caching the results. So that's a lot less data. That's just one data point per bar. Right? Now, the issue with that one is if you want to change something about your indicator, like maybe you decide that market order imbalance is great, but you want a 30-minute window. Oh, you know what? Let's do that. Well, Okay, so in order to do this correctly, I have to... oh, okay, so that, by the way, is a 10. So, I'm going to change the file name style to the full. That will include the ID in there. And then I'm going to add another market order imbalance. And I'm going to make that one with a different period. Okay. So now both of them should... Oh, no, actually this one didn't... Oh, because I didn't change it yet. This one, default, full, no. Full. Okay, now they should both be... Yeah, nothing. Okay. So if I were to change, you get, so that's, I'm showing you right there. Now that I changed the period on it, that cached data is not any good. Essentially. What I actually want to do is documents, NinjaTrader, saved is where they go. $10.28. This one without the day on it. And I should have two down here that have the... But what I was saving before was a 30-minute window. So the 30-minute window... Was it this one? No. Market order. This one right here. 30-minute window. That one I will change to the default style of name. Okay. So now over here, if I refresh... Oh, actually it won't until the next bar. I need to wait until the next bar, and then I should see a file pop up here again. And let's come in here and change the reordering again. So this one is 3. So this one should be 4. 5. 6. 7. Because it won't let me click on the data series yet. There we go. Close that. I can't see it going lower than 82.5. Luckily for me, it's locked up until the 7th. I can watch the reaction to the election. Yeah, and I think that like waiting until after the election and kind of watching the end of year window dressing period would be, yeah. I kind of, so like, here's a more interesting question to me right now is, what about the S&P 500? Because this year has been insane. Okay, like we had a good pullback there and we had a good pullback there, but like this is a crazy year. And I really question our ability to keep that up. Like I just don't know if the money is there. And I can see some problems in the economy. I'm not seeing problems in the economy like, oh man, this is definitely going to be a recession. But like, there are some problems. The labor market is tight. If they're not careful, it could turn into a recession. Let me tell you, man, don't get laid off. It's a nightmare right now. Oh, I'm out of water. Did I not fill my water bottle up before I came in here? Do you think... Let's see here. I'm looking for tick by tick. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I don't remember where I got it from. I don't have that data, 007, but I do have some old data that's not there anymore. Where did I put it? Is it in here? Yeah, here we go. It's in here. So I have data from 2011 to 2023. And I don't think it's tick by tick per se. I'll show you. It's trade by trade is what it is. So it's like it tells you the time. Now it's in time seconds since the epoch, so you can't really see, but it's basically like at what price and the quantity they went through and all of that. And this is what we used to generate the volume profile data to go back. So this was for volume profile. But it's not really tick by tick per se. And it's not something that you could put into NinjaTrader and have it start doing things correctly with, unfortunately. I'm thinking more along the lines of put options. Oh, that's just what you're thinking, like longer term there. I do kind of wonder if, like, after the election, I think election, usually it's like doesn't matter who wins, the markets rally a little bit. Like you might see, for instance, if Kamala Harris were to win, I think that's unlikely at this point, but if Kamala Harris were to win, you might see a short sell-off, like on the day, like the night of, like knee-jerk reaction sort of a thing. But then overall, the markets, people come up with excuses for why it's a buy. That's what almost always happens. So I've never seen a situation where an election happened and like the markets were really, really unhappy about it and sold off and stuff. I just haven't seen that. But I could see after that time period, markets kind of struggling. And it might not be until next year. But I think that soon that the stock market in particular will struggle. And I don't know, there's kind of this larger issue that, people like Goldman Sachs have been pointing out, that when you look at it from a valuation perspective, all of their models are predicting that gains for the next 10 years in the S&P 500 aren't going to be very good. That we're basically like getting all of the gains front loaded, and that's going to make it difficult for the market going forward. We may finally shift into a market where valuations matter and being really good at picking stocks matters, right? But we'll see. We'll see. All right, so I need to get some water. I need to close the window. I'm going to take a quick break here, all right? I'll be right back. Man, it's still dark out there, man. Shouldn't I at least be seeing like little bit of light now? Maybe it's a cloudy day. What would you do in my position if you wanted to develop an algorithm for a momentum strategy? I'm aiming to build this using a first, second, and third division of the aggregate. Okay, so I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that, but my plan is to enter positions based on horizontal analysis. Okay. Oh, okay, so when you say horizontal analysis, you're talking about volume profile. Okay, so here's the thing, 007. You use the word momentum. So in my opinion, if you are doing anything on an intraday time period, like day trading, it's not momentum. Because I have seen no evidence for momentum effects on intraday time periods. Like, I suppose that you could say that there is some degree of momentum, but it doesn't overcome the amount of error. That is to say that, like, when you see signs, like, so if I have a chart that's going like this, right, and I have a moving average, and it's like this, right? When I cross over the moving average, okay, is that indicative of us continuing to move up? Well, not exactly. I mean, it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. If you take that signal, you are going to lose most of the time. You are going to lose most of the time, okay? Because most of the time it comes back over like this and it crosses over so many times that you'll lose most of the time. This is less than 50% win rate on this, okay? But what it does is, if there is a trend, it has to do this. If there is a trend, it has to do this, right? So if you take a trade every time this happens, you will always get in at the beginning of every trend. Okay. So the ones where it does turn into a trend, you hold them and you can make a ton of money from that, right? Well, the issue is the intraday time period. The amount of time that you have and the distance that it can go in that time is not enough. And a lot of the movement in the markets happens in the overnight session as well. And so intraday momentum, basically it doesn't work. The what you catch on your winners doesn't make up for the low win rate. But if you switch to daily bars, that's a different thing. Because if you take a trade and you catch a trend and you hold it onto that for like a year or 3 years or 5 years sometimes, like, those are huge winnings, right? Especially on futures, you're going to make like 10 times your money on those ones. And that more than makes up for all of the tiny little losers that you have along the way. So, yeah, if you're going to do momentum, that is I'm going to run it on daily bars. I'm going to run it on multiple instruments, because that's the other thing, is like a market might not trend for years, right? So you want to have like a universe of instruments that you're looking at, and then, you get into whichever ones are trending, and you're going to hold multiple positions at a time. That's like the way that you develop a portfolio. So if you want to do a momentum strategy, like you want to run a commodities trading advisor strategy, what you need to do is you need to get like Norgate data. And Norgate has data for a ton of different futures instruments, and then you can use Python and to develop a strategy that deals with multiple instruments and stuff. Because that's the thing, like NinjaTrader's backtester is basically designed for backtesting a single instrument, right? Doesn't do a portfolio level thing. So at that point, it's better to go over into the Python space. Okay. If you're doing it for, do want to day trade, okay. If you do want to day trade, then momentum's maybe a filter that you can put in there, but it's not going to be a very good basis for analyzing, you know. I also think that, you know, you're talking about horizontal analysis, which I think means like looking at volume profiles. And people believe a lot of things about volume profiles, but I have never seen really solid empirical evidence to prove that these are really actually good strategies. Like when I look at, well, you know, because look at my analyzing volume profile video, right? And I kind of show you the issues with it, and I do a back test, and I give you all of the stuff that you would need to do a back test. But it's kind of like, like really what you got to do is, I think to have success on an intraday time period is you need to have things that are really good at predicting future orders. So one thing that you would probably want to factor in to your day trading strategy is seasonality. What, you know, is there a tendency for this market to be up or down, or to be more active or less active during this time of year? Is there a tendency in the spreads? That would be like one of the first things that I would incorporate. That's tough to do. I think we could program it. It's tough to do. I'm a Python developer, but new to the trading world. I need tick-by-tick data to develop a... Well, so not exactly. So when they say tick-by-tick data, it could mean a couple of different things. So like the data that I showed you a little bit earlier could be considered tick-by-tick data, simply because it is every trade. It is every trade that has happened. Okay? But it's not tick-by-tick data like in terms of NinjaTrader, right? You'd have to do stuff to make it do it on NinjaTrader. In NinjaTrader, you will hear people within the context of NinjaTrader saying that you need to run your algorithms on tick-by-tick data because there's all of these weird, funky things that can happen interbar, right? You can have like, you know, like let's say that my stop and my target are both 4, right? And then okay, so here's the bar we get in on, and then the next bar looks like this, right? Did we hit our target first or our stop first, right? And what NinjaTrader does is NinjaTrader says, "Oh, you hit your you won." That's what most backtesters will do, is they will paint a rosy picture for you, right? In order to determine what really got hit first, you've got to split that bar up. Like if these were 30-minute bars, then change it to 1-minute bars, and then maybe that would be good enough, right? But sometimes that's not good enough, and especially if you're like doing trades where it's like your winner is only 1 tick, then you need to go as granular as you can get it, and that's tick-by-tick data. So then you go into the NinjaTrader backtester and you say, do tick bars and do 1 tick bars, right? Now, if you do that, most data providers will only provide 1 to 2 years of data for you, 1, and 2, it will take forever. It will take forever. So the better thing to do is to have a strategy that's not going for 1 tickers, and you know is designed to be pretty decent at dealing with those sorts of things, and then you back test after you've done your back testing and you're pretty sure you want to go forward with an algorithm, you have a testing period where you just run the algorithm on a you just run it on a sim account and see how the trades it makes compares to the back test. Yeah. Because getting the tick by tick data, you're probably not going to be able to get tick by tick data going back far enough. The only place that I'm aware of that, so I take that back. You can buy it from the CME. Okay, you can buy that data from the CME. And there are some other places that have it. I don't know where we got that other one from. But it's not cheap. It's like thousands of dollars. So that's where it's kind of like, I don't know. It seems to me, I've seen strategies or I am aware of strategies that work on like really, really short time frames, like probably sub-second time frames, in fact, right? And I've seen strategies that work on like, daily time frames, like momentum and mean reversion strategies like that are like purely technical. But this time period between that, where the majority of retail traders live, where you're using 1 or 5 minute bars or maybe 30-minute bars, like I haven't seen something with that, right? And I guess we got these indicators, and that's kind of a place where we would maybe find an edge like that. But we're essentially having to make our own data, right? And so like that's kind of the bigger thing, is that like you get two options, assuming that you're not going to be able to participate on the really short time frames. So then your two options are either A, to a momentum portfolio, in which case I would recommend Norgate, or you have to start building your own stuff and collecting your own data and stuff. Yeah. So when you get it down to like these big quantitative trading firms and stuff like that, right? Because you got to think about it like, okay, so here you have a company, they basically get to spend all of their time. They get to spend literally all of their time working on their strategy, right? What are they doing with all that time? Well, I'll tell you what they're doing. They're building data pipelines and working with data. Like the quantitative trading job is really actually collecting and analyzing data. And that's kind of like an involved process that takes a long time. That's why a lot of people will tell you, like, the process of doing that and making a good algorithm on your own, it's a lot of work for one person. It is. By the way, Handle Lag, welcome back. It's good to see you again. But in the past week or so, we've had pretty much everybody come through. So I'm glad to see you. I think I had that market analyzer over here. I want it back on my other screen. There we go. Like, I'll keep that 2-year out there, but my algorithm based on the DOM using pulling and stacking and market orders hitting those levels, which day would be best suited for this? There's nothing out there. I don't think that there's like again, so my data pipe outputs every message sent to you, and some days on only a 2-hour period, it's literally 400 megabytes. Here, I'll pull it up. Archive market data. Sort by size. So some of these largest ones, like May 3rd. What happened on May 3rd? It's just a Monday. I don't know. Kind of weird. But anyways, yeah, it's a lot of data, right? And you basically just have to collect it yourself. It kind of seems to me that if you have any intention of ever, you know, if you're a programmer and you have any intention of building an algorithm that works with level 2 information, you should just start collecting the data now. Have to jump into the market now? Okay. Either way, Bitcoin's on a decent trend right now. Also, I'm seeing a lot of buying in oil, even though it's not moving up. But on the futures, they are buying. So curious to me that my market order imbalance for the 30-minute time period hasn't done anything. Accumulation in oil? Could be. I'd say that a divergence of that magnitude is pretty big. Yeah, I only have data pipe on ZN. Dude, if I were to put it on ES, who knows how much data that would be. To do it on ES, that would be insane. But you know what? My theory is that on ES, that the order flow would really only be really useful on super short time frames. Super short time frames. Computer would burst into flames. No, but the disk would fill up real quick. Like I'm betting that it would be like 20 times as much data. Would be a lot. And it's just when I'm looking at the market order imbalance, you know, the 30-minute one would move around, right? And it's just sitting there at 0.495. Is it because there hasn't been 30 minutes yet? I don't know if that's right, but I guess it might not be useful for us until tomorrow. Yeah, it looks like I put it on at about, actually more like 7 o'clock. So we're getting close to that. Yeah, we're getting close to that time. But you're saying that it's just flat for the first 30 minutes? Why would that be? I think I must have something in there that's doing that intentionally. Let me see. Oh, I do. I see. Oh, I can probably change that. I can probably change that. Now that I fix these other problems. Oh, maybe I can't. Oh, well, I can fix that. It's just more complicated than that. Yes, I see. Oh, no. It should still do it. It should still be adding to them. Okay, so what I actually need to do here is pull up, refresh. So here's our 30-minute one. Okay. Wait, what is the 4? Current buys, current sells, running buys, running sells. Okay. Oh, okay. No, it's good. It's just that it hasn't really been changing. You should round 8 decimal places isn't necessary. Well, why not? It's that Lou would just leave it that way. But then why isn't, well, so they should be the same for the first 10 minutes, yes. Okay. Yeah, something still bothers me about it. I don't know if I can explain that. You asked ChatGPT to remove fluoride from... I'm surprised that it didn't give you, fight you on that. The other day I asked it, because we were laughing about robots. One of the kids wanted to watch the Lorax, and I'm like, why do you want to watch the Lorax? That's communist propaganda. It's not really communist propaganda, but it's anti-capitalist propaganda, right? The whole way that it goes in that is like the premise of the story is kind of dumb, but like the way that they portray it in the movie is particularly bad because they really put it into like, capitalists are greedy and are just going to consume everything. But then my son was like, well, if we really wanted to watch communist propaganda, shouldn't we watch Robots? You ever seen that one? Man, in Robots, they have a straight up proletariat revolution in that movie. Like that one's really bad. And so my son asked, are there any movies that are like capitalist propaganda? Yeah, Robots is heavy communist propaganda. Or is there a movie that you could be considered the other way around, but it's pro capitalism? Well, a kids movie, I can't think of one. I can't think of one for a kids movie. Almost all media that you're going to see is going to criticize our current system. That's just kind of the way that it works, right? no, kids are really important to get. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I should differentiate, right? There's like, let's criticize our current systems so that we can, think critically and maybe improve them, and communist propaganda, right? So there's definitely communist propaganda out there, though, right? So what would be like capitalist propaganda? I can't think of any. I can't think of any. And so I asked ChatGPT. And when I asked ChatGPT, it like broke it. It broke ChatGPT. So I think that I had run into a question that like it triggered its oh, I'm not allowed to talk about that, but it didn't have an explanation for why it couldn't talk about that yet. So it probably flagged it, and I bet you that if I go back in a week, that an employee will have done some work, and then it will give me a different answer that will basically say why it's not allowed to answer that question. It wouldn't let me. Communism requires small brains. Well, it's okay. Shall we talk about this? Should we talk about this? I don't know. So I keep, this whole, have you been seeing what's been going on Twitch, man? Some crazy stuff going on Twitch right now. Like, Asmongold got banned for some comments that he made that were I think, a little insensitive. Not to say that, like, he, I think if you look at what he was saying, I don't think that it was, like, so bad, but I do think that it was insensitive and he shouldn't have said it. And yeah, so he got banned for a week or two, right? Yeah, actually, I think he comes back today. And that kind of triggered like a whole bunch of other things. Because then everybody else was saying like, well, but what about Hassan, who has said that Americans still deserved 9/11 and all of this sort of stuff? Oh my gosh, can you believe that he said that? Like that would get you canceled anywhere else, right? Like if you got on CNBC and you said that on CNBC, I think they would fire you. So like apparently like some of Destiny's community and some other people that are concerned about anti-Semitism have started like mass reporting all of Twitch's advertisements to advertisers. And the advertisers, they just see, oh, anti-Semitism, we can't have that. So like something like 70%, or at least this is claimed, we don't have proof of this, but it's claimed from internal leaks that 70% of Twitch's advertisers have left. And it's just this whole big mess. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, well, look, I feel like I'm pretty careful about what I say, but we do dive into the politics sometimes and too much into my own political opinion. And I think the truth is that sometimes I wish that I was a political commentator like Ben Shapiro or something like that, and that comes out too much. And really our purpose here is to understand the markets. That means that we need to understand politics and the way that things are in order to help explain and or predict what other people are going to believe and do and stuff like that, right? And avoid getting a little bit too opinionated on the politics, which is going to be a real struggle over the next week because, man, have you seen the stuff that Kamala Harris has gone full bore? Donald Trump is going to put you all into internment camps and stuff. Like she literally made a ad that was targeted towards Asian Americans, basically saying he's going to put you back in internment camps. It's just such a crazy commercial to make, I think. But then there's also, he had his Madison Square Garden rally, which was huge. And they're all saying, oh, it's like a Nazi rally. And then I guess a comedian made a joke about Puerto Rico, saying that it was basically like a garbage island, which I don't know what the context of that joke was, but probably wasn't a smart idea by that comedian. It is going to be nothing but that the next week, man. They're just going to pull out all the stops because that's like the only thing that really works for them anymore, it seems to me. October surprise was a 31-year-old sexual assault allegation that didn't land, so their closing argument is just Hitler. Pretty much. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. I tell you what, it's really interesting to watch all of this happening online, because even on Reddit now you're starting to see the Democrats are starting to come out of the denial phase and seeing that this race doesn't look very good for them. So I may need to go into this and look at the numbers and stuff. Oh, I see. I see what's going on. This, because I put it on a chart with tick replay, these are all of the tick replay ones. And that's why it's not, that's why it doesn't start doing stuff right from the very, very beginning. I see. So maybe I should add something in there to specifically like not count that one or something. I guess the next thing, and I don't really need to do this for any of my back testing and everything, but I should add one accumulative delta that's cached, and I should add one that is I should add some options to allow you to say, like, okay, if I have tick replay, do those ones to get to fill out the data that I don't already have. It's a little bit more complicated because you have to like read the cached files and then see if there's something there already, and then maybe like color them different. But okay, so I see. It's because that 30K shows up at the very beginning. That's why. We're okay. I was concerned about like that there was actual calculations in there that were wrong. Anyways, okay, so I'm a little bit concerned. Like I'm trying to not veer too far off into like straight up political commentary. Like I feel like what I've said so far, well, what Uzi says is like he's the one that eggs me onto it. But I think it's should be at this point not news to anybody, at least not news to anybody that's watching this stream, that the election doesn't look very good for Democrats right now. Okay, that's just the way that it is. Okay, so can we go into, yes, I'm not going to contextualize my way into communist beliefs, but I am going to explain something to you about the way that politics like this work, and particularly with communist politics, because it very much does affect people, and it can very much help you explain why people do and act the way that they do. Okay. Your mind is kind of like ChatGPT. All of the things that happen around you, these are all data that's being passed into this machine learning network in the front of your brain. And then based on the goals that you have, the brain interprets that information and adjusts the brain cells in various ways and everything to get the optimal answers based on your goals. And that's the way that your brain works. And communists have essentially discovered this and intentionally try to use it to program people. Yes. And it's very critical for them to program you before your brain becomes too crystallized, which basically means that they've got to do it before you're 26 years old. So I do think Uzi's correct that communists like intentionally try to propagandize children. And part of the thing is that it's in our DNA. Like when you live in a family, right? It's all shared, right? Everybody in the family contributes, produces something, and you share the food, right? When you worked with a small tribe, that's the way that it would go in a small tribe too, is you would share things. The problem, so communism, in my opinion, is really kind of like an innate desire among humans. The problem is that it doesn't scale. It doesn't scale beyond a small tribe. It's the problem with communism, essentially. Well, not communism. Let's call it socialism. Communism is kind of like is trying to systematize and make a government system to implement socialism, and it just doesn't work. But imagining an entire economic philosophy hinging solely on sharing, it's literally designed for children. No, I don't know if it's designed for children, but I think that their understanding of the world is childish, yes. Like really at the end of the day, in my opinion, Karl Marx was probably an autistic guy that, just felt very, very disenfranchised by the world and came up with a bunch of stuff to try and justify why he was useless. And honestly, his understanding of the world was very naive. His economic understanding was very naive. So it's really quite weird to see all of these like academics and stuff like studying it and everything, because it's really just a bunch of nonsense. But part of that gets into one of my big pet peeves, which is that economics for a large time was not really an empirical science. It wasn't until Keynes came along that you really started to get in empiricism in economics. Before that, economics was basically just economy philosophy, right? So, and Austrian economics is essentially economy philosophy. This is why I'm not a fan of Austrian economics. Like, they might have some things right, maybe, but only because, they're lucky, right? That's not based on empirical data. Which is kind of sad, because what we really need to do is we need to get all of the people that are studying Austrian economics and get them into econophysics, right? Where we do empiricism. But yeah. So once you understand that this is kind of like, programming it into your brain, now you can kind of understand why people see things the way that they do, right? Like with the Democrat Party, we've literally, since people were children, been conditioning everybody to look out for racism and oppose it when it shows up. Like, that's like so much of the media that we millennials consumed as children was basically racism is bad. Here are racist things, and we need to do everything we can to stamp it out, right? And the result is that we all see racism where there isn't any. but it's because, like with the Asmongold thing, well, he used words. He used certain words that trigger that network. That saying that people are inferior and all of those sorts of things. Yeah, it triggers all of the sensors, right? Even though I don't think that was really his intention, but he shouldn't have said it. But like, that's kind of the thing, is you kind of have to if you're going to do this, if you're going to be like a public figure, you kind of have to understand the context and understand where certain words and phrases that you use will, trigger people in certain ways, even if that's not your intention, right? Another issue is that we kind of are conditioning people to fight against the other side. Is something that I'm seeing on the left is like we're conditioning teenagers to like literally, be violent against the other side. And that's how you end up with these things like this teenager that was like literally yelling in a toddler's face. Did you see that one? Oh my gosh. This is a good thing that the other protesters there were like, hey, you shouldn't be doing this, is bad, and kind of redirected her. Because that one was particularly crazy. But how do you get people to behave crazy like that? I'm telling you, it's because you're programming their frontal cortex. And we as a society should think harder about what we're doing to people. Because we've had this whole thing like, this is trading. I already tied it to trading. I did. I tied it to trading, right? You have to understand how people think, why they do the things that they do, so that you can predict what they're going to do, so that you can predict their orders, right? And it's going to come up because there's going to be situations where something political happens that is explicitly relevant to the markets, and you're going to see investors go and invest in a certain way. And the way that they invest might not make sense. It might be nonsensical. And you have to realize that they're kind of been programmed to do that. Because again, like, people don't function on logic for the most part. Like, we have logic, but most of the time, logic is used to try and justify decisions or opinions that we've already made. The reality is that a lot of those decisions and opinions are already pre-programmed into you by that intuition kind of part of your brain. So it takes the information and then immediately spits out an answer. Just like that, right? And that's all of those things that you don't really think about it logically. What is that? What is making that sound? Did you hear that? Well, maybe that's I don't know. Man, I don't know where it's coming from. Ignore. I thought maybe it was Discord that was making that sound, but I don't see it on Discord, so I don't know what that sound was. I don't know. But anyways, I wish that we as a society understood this better, so that we were more careful about the way in which we're programming people. Because especially with what we show on the news, I don't think is very good for people in the long run, right? But this is really important for your own trading, because everything that you're looking at is kind of affecting your mind to some extent. And so you've got to be really careful about the media that you are consuming and the impact that it's going to have on you. And you also have to understand that tendency that we largely rely on intuition instead of using a from the ground up logical way of doing things. And we kind of have to train ourselves to go into that logical from the ground up kind of analysis, right? So it's relevant for trading. It is. All right. And I don't know, that I think some people might get upset that, like, I said something about liberals, right? But conservatives have done the same thing. The thing that so here's something that I don't think people understand that I think is going to be really controversial, but I'm going to tell you anyways, because again, I think it's useful. There are differences in attitudes, beliefs, and taste even between classes in American society. I've heard some people say it like, you know, people think that the difference in class is how much money you make, or maybe it's how much education you have. Then other people say it's more about taste. The thing is that there are things about certain jobs that, you know, you can develop from being a small child that will give you an advantage in those fields, right? So the attitudes that working class people adopt are attitudes that help them in their jobs for the most part. And so that's why they kind of develop this own culture, and it gets passed down to their kids and on all of these sorts of things, right? So I think one of the problems that you're seeing on the conservative side is that you have this, and I say it's on the conservative side, but really it's the working class component of the Republican Party, right? That they essentially have these ideas and beliefs and everything that are kind of programmed into them from being the littlest kids. And I think that in some of those instances that those ideas and stuff don't really translate very well to the modern world, and or don't really translate very well to politics. And so you kind of continually see conservatives kind of making some mistakes here and there. Tiger Woods is a good example. Why is Tiger Woods a good example? I mean, I think one of the things that's the thing that makes Donald Trump unique is that he's a person that he was upper class, but he has developed working class taste, essentially, right? That's what makes him so powerful. It's kind of interesting. Like, we moved up there for the treasuries. I think Uzi said at ZN closed its overnight gap, but I never really saw any really strong change in cumulative delta or anything. And we've just kind of been chugging along. So it's been a pretty nonchalant market. And I kind of wonder, because don't we get non-farms this Friday? I'm kind of suspecting that it's just going to be a really tight and difficult market until Friday. And I've been pretty rangy on the Delta side since the open, yeah. It looks like oil is finally starting to respond to all that buying. They're long 10,000 contracts now. Our beliefs are shaped by our environment, and interactions. Gaining wisdom in certain areas can lead us to question everything, including which is why I've become an atheist, but most people don't reach this phase. Well, I mean, okay, so I wasn't controversial enough because I don't see enough comments about it. I think that a lot of people come to atheism, again, because they're programmed to it. Saying programmed to it is maybe not necessarily the best word, but I'm basically saying that they come to those beliefs because of their environment and not necessarily because of their own logic. Government should get in there and secure themselves some contracts for the SPR. There you go. Well, don't they want it to be below 60 to refill the SPR, though? I probably missed an important news story or something for that. Every angry atheist I ever met is just mad their parents made them go to church when they were kids and they can't let it go. Well, I mean, yeah, this is something that really bothers me, though, because, like, church is your community, man. Like in modern, this is kind of why we have some of these issues with, like, okay, when it was in ancient times. You had a tribe, right? And you had your small tribe, and you shared everything, and you got together, and a tribe was maybe 200 people. Dunbar's number, right? And then we kind of scaled up when we developed these larger societies, and there's kind of some of these issues with it. But as a human, to have a sense of belonging and to feel good about the world and all of these things, you need that group. And so in Christian society, it became your church. And that's kind of why I think a lot of things have gone off the rails in the past 50 years, is because the youth have largely abandoned church, and so they don't have any tribe. You just have all of these stray humans everywhere. Is what it is. Don't belong anywhere. And when you're like that, and you're again before the age of 26, you will because your brain thinks of it as like a matter of survival. It thinks of it as a matter of survival. And so kids will latch onto the first thing that comes along. And yeah, if the first thing that comes along is like anti-church and all of these sorts of things, then they latch onto it. And then again, like once you're over the age of 26, pretty hard to change those things. Like you can change those things, but you have to be very intentional about it after that point. You remember the Evie and Elon Musk argument? Well, okay. How do you know that that's what's driving the orders today? That seems kind of silly. A silly thing to say. Honestly, I think that there's a lot of pressure on oil prices for two reasons. One is that the Biden administration really wants that oil price to come down. Really, whoever is in office wants the oil price to go down. And they've done a lot of things, including taking money, taking inventory out of the SPR and selling it on the market to try and keep those prices down. And two, because things are still struggling in China, and we thought that China was really going to come in forcefully and rescue their market, but it was short-lived, and now people are kind of concerned about it again. Yeah, Israel said it wasn't going to hit Iranian oil supplies over the weekend. But didn't that happen on Friday? But you're right. And part of it is seasonal as well, that oil tends to decline going into the winter because people drive less in the winter. Yeah. So those are kind of like the most important factors that I see. So, okay, if we think that electric vehicles are going to lead to less oil usage, like, you would really need to quantify that and then show the volume. There are analysts out there that can do that stuff, right? Like big companies, they can get access to the data and everything to prove that. But who's the fund that's selling because of EVs? I don't think that they're out there. So this is an instance where we want to be very empirical with things, right? But we have a limited ability to be empirical on this. We kind of have to rely on other people that have the data to do it for us. And I haven't seen anything from analysts saying anything of that sort. Which kind of gets me thinking about what do we see on Zero Hedge? They say anything about oil today? worst Nazi rally ever is their top story, talking about the Donald Trump rally. Yeah, when I visited Reddit this morning, they were definitely pushing that it was like that the rally was really racist. And I was kind of thinking about that, and I was like, I think, like, I don't know the context and everything. So maybe there's a way to explain it that's, it's like not as bad as it appears when they're saying it in headlines and stuff. But even if there is, that probably doesn't matter. It probably has some effect on people. But maybe not the people that are voting for Trump anyways. Like, I don't know. It's probably nothing to concern myself with much. Oh, we got peak earnings this week as well. Okay. You should advertise that Beyonce is going to perform on my stream. Dude, I saw that. I was so mad. So Kamala Harris kind of put all of this stuff in the media to insinuate that Beyonce was going to be at her rally in Texas, and then she wasn't. And so when Kamala Harris gave her speech, everybody booed her. It was so loud that like you couldn't even hear her. That was a disaster for them. We did our early voting yesterday. Nice to do on Sundays. All the Trump people are in church and all the Harris welfare hippies are still sleeping, so it takes 120 seconds to vote. Okay, you heard that, right? Okay, I don't have any notifications in Discord. No, I don't see anything in Discord though. Unless there's a new... Oh, maybe it's... Oh. By the way, I should note that for those of you on trying to use the Jigsaw Day Trader 5 beta, it's been like 4 weeks, but they updated the beta, so... Well, is that really the Discord notification sound? Let's see here. Notifications. Let's see your app settings. Notifications. Event sound pack Halloween. Oh, maybe it is. So then is that just people in our futures trading server saying stuff? I'm not seeing too much there. Not getting as many should double check that my robot's still working because I haven't gotten any of those banned recently. I tell you what, people sure do delete messages a lot. I think that what happened is Discord changed their notifications with a Halloween pack, and that is the sound from Discord. They're making some pretty good progress on the downside in the treasuries here now. He's probably talking about oil. Eamon's probably talking about oil. Philadelphia DA sues Elon Musk PAC to stop $1 million lottery for voters. Octavia says new polls. Do you think we could be getting new polls and that the Trump trade is coming in? And they're selling treasuries because of that? Oh. Oh, hold up. I think I do see something. Let me verify it here. Oh, no. That one's not. It's North Carolina. Here's a poll with North Carolina, Trump up 2%. I thought I was thinking Virginia for a second. But you had Trump up 2% in Virginia. That'd be a huge deal, right? Okay, New Hampshire poll. Trump up 0.04. That is what? Where is this coming from? From the New Hampshire Journal? No way. It's a local. Okay, so polls like that can have a pretty big margin of error, but it's the most legit stuff that you're gonna get. And they show Trump up in New Hampshire. That is pretty big, I think. That was 3 hours ago, though. I don't know. That wouldn't explain why we've been down in the past 12 minutes or so. Sources in Hamas told Saudi channel A Shark that the terrorist organization accepted the Egyptian offer and demands further clarifications regarding it. The channel also reported from its sources that the Biden administration is putting pressure on the parties to reach an agreement that will end the war in Gaza. According to the report, CIA Director William Burns promoted proposals designed to bridge gaps, hoping to to reach an agreement in Gaza before the presidential elections on November 5th. That it could be that. Do you think that the guys in oil could have been selling today in anticipation of that, and that now that the news has come out, it's kind of like sell the rumor, buy the news? I don't know what the deal is with this joke about Puerto Rico. I need to learn more about that. I'm going to come over here to Patriots.win and see if how they're portraying it, or if they have. Oh my god. Talking about, it was earlier I mentioned that lady that was screaming in the little girl's face. Well, the Babylon Bee made a joke about it. Democrats scream in fury after spotting child that made it out of the womb alive. Oh, man. That's probably too political. Democrats probably aren't laughing about that one. So I'm not seeing too much on the Trump outlets about this particular joke that the left is obsessed with, which kind of makes me think that it maybe was bad and that they don't want to talk about it. Okay, Puerto Ricans who attended Trump's New York City rally just issued a statement saying they were not offended by the joke by Tony Hinchcliffe made. We like jokes and we understand the importance of a comedian having the freedom. I didn't hear that. Well, I did not watch a clip. Yeah. The joke was about a garbage island out there, and he said that it was Puerto Rico. What I'm trying to sort out is, like, was there something about the context in which that was placed, or there was some follow-up to that made it not seem so mean-spirited towards Puerto Rico? But what I'm saying is that people were just saying, yeah, well, things aren't very good in Puerto Rico right now, and it was a joke, and a comedian should be allowed to make a joke. Uzi, I don't know. I didn't watch it live. See, and I haven't watched any video clip of it at all. I just saw the quote. But I'm not seeing the Trumpers try to defend the joke. I think that they're all kind of saying that it was in bad taste, but that the politician should be allowed to make a joke in bad taste. Or not the politician, the comedian. Yeah, I just don't really see much of anything. See, like if I pop over to Reddit, literally the first thing that I see. There's a floating garbage island named Puerto Rico, and then a Puerto Rican slapping the guy. That's the first thing that pops up. Let's see how many it takes. So we're 1 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That one probably includes the Puerto Rico thing too. MSNBC blasted for splicing Nazi clips into coverage of Trump's Madison Square Garden rally? Really? Maybe he's got a link. It's probably a link to the actual joke. I'm afraid to stream the joke. I'm just gonna watch it, okay? Oh, okay. Time to clear the air about Tony Hinchcliffe. You could say to be told I didn't find him funny. Oh, here's Brian Krasenson. Who cares about what Brian Krasenson says? Oh, it's 10 minutes. Yeah, that sound is the Discord notification. It's really crazy to me that anybody cares what the Krasensteins say. That those are still big Twitter accounts, essentially. Okay. I'm already triggered, dude. So I'm not personally offended, but I'm watching this with the liberal this might be racist filter put on to see what they might be thinking, and like I'm 48 seconds in and the alarm's already going off. So he said at the beginning of the speech, he's like, you know, how many of my Latino friends are in here? And, you know, everybody, there's like tons of screaming in the crowd and all of this sort of stuff. And then the guy says, see what I mean? The border's just wide open. That was, I mean, funny, I guess. But like, I would, if I was a president, quite frankly, I think that if Donald Trump knew that the comedian was going to say that, I don't think that he would have let him go up there. I'm kind of thinking that it already kind of seems like problematic to me. Oh. This guy is this is shock humor, is what this is. Like, he's saying a bunch of things to like say them in like the worst way possible, right? Just like I can't remember this guy that's kind of British, right? But it reminds me very much of him. Yeah. So with the first thing is I'm looking at it like, okay, so is it going to trigger the liberals? It is. And I think that a lot of people, they're just going to see this. Even if they're watching the whole thing, there's going to be a contingent of people that are upset by it. Ricky Gervais, he kind of fits that bill. Yeah. But there's some guys that are even worse than that. Like guys that will make light of killing babies or things like that. Like, you can't. Oh man, I wish I could remember the names and stuff, but TikTok used to show me a lot of that stuff, and it doesn't anymore. But like, it doesn't seem to me like that this person is necessarily like racist. He's making jokes that are like intentionally bad jokes like that, right? I don't think that it is appropriate for a campaign event. So it does appear to me to be a mistake. The question is, how big of a mistake is it, right? Does it matter? I kind of think that it's not really going to move the needle. In fact, there's probably going to be a lot of people, like, it's going to turn into a discussion about, like, should comedians be able to say, right? Because my argument is like, yes, comedians should be able to make bad jokes. It's just like, I don't think that you should include that kind of a comedian at your campaign event. That's all. Right? That's going to be the argument that's going to come out, I think. So we'll see. The question, the next question is like, okay, I'm going to see it all over Reddit. But, oh no, I'm not. I haven't voted yet. I don't vote. I only vote on election day. I only vote on election day. You never know. Like something, like Kamala Harris might have a heart attack and get replaced by, I don't know who would be really cool that I would want to vote for, but maybe it would be replaced by somebody that I would want to vote for. I don't know. You never know. I think that it's just within it. It's most beneficial to me to vote on election day. It's probably beneficial to my party and the politicians in general for me to vote early, but I'm going to vote on election day. And I'm hoping that it should be even easier than usual because so many more people will vote by mail. And I can fill it, they give me my ballot over here, so I will fill it out over here, and then I will just, take it to the voting booth and drop it off. Well, maybe they both kill over, and it's not Tim. I can't imagine a Democrat that I would possibly vote for. Like maybe they keel over and somehow Jamie Dimon becomes the Democrat nominee. I think I would have to vote for Jamie Dimon in that case. Jamie Dimon's a Democrat that I could see myself voting for. I hope that ever happens. I still have a dream. It's a dumb dream, and it's probably a dream that, if it actually happened, it would actually turn out to be a nightmare. But I still have this dream that Jamie Dimon would make a good Federal Reserve president. But whatever. I need to add this. Hold on. Do I have... Yeah, it's not there yet. I had this list of, things that I'm seeing posted on Reddit in particular about what will happen if Donald Trump is elected that are false and or extremely unlikely. And, I should probably add, and then things that I do think will happen if Trump is elected. And, you know, one of them is that Donald Trump will undermine the Federal Reserve's independence. Well, that's not going to happen. I think that Donald Trump wants to have more say over there, but I don't think that he's necessarily like proposing legislation that allows him to like overrule the Federal Reserve or something like that. But what will happen is he probably will replace Jerome Powell. I mean, I think he wants to replace Jerome Powell, but even if he wasn't going to replace Jerome Powell, it's kind of like time for Powell to move. So who would Donald Trump nominate in his place? Because some of the people that he proposed to put into the Federal Reserve were crazy, frankly. There was two people that got blocked, essentially. Like Congress said, no, they're too out there. So who would he select to chair the Federal Reserve? I don't know, but I think that would be one of the bigger deals in his presidency. So I wanted to write that down, but I'll remember. It looks like what I'd written on my phone didn't sync up with my desktop yet. Did you hear that BlackRock holds over 400,000 Bitcoin? I'd seen something to that effect. Or I'd seen something to the effect of like the amount of money that the institutions were holding through these Bitcoin ETFs and everything. Well, okay, so by the way, the story that I heard over the weekend was that the Department of Justice confirmed that Tether was under investigation. And then Tether, the CEO of Tether came out and said that this is misinformation and FUD, we're not under investigation. And I'm like, I would think that the Department of Justice would know better than you. Like, all that means is that they're under investigation and they haven't told you yet. Right? That's a concern. That's a concern because if the Department of Justice investigates Tether and they're finally able to crack that rock open, because Tether is basically acting like a bank and is creating money by making loans. That's exactly what they're doing over there at Tether. And if you take out all of the money that they've created through loans and destroy it suddenly, Bitcoin would be utterly devastated. It would just destroy them. Now, what would that mean for some of these funds like BlackRock holding coin? I think that they would be okay, but would just be that one fund would just get destroyed, right? But so I still see reason to be concerned about Bitcoin. Because I really don't think that the number over there is really based on real money going into Bitcoin. Well, we got about 30 minutes left. It's still pretty slow over here in the treasuries. But, you know, that downside that we saw did have some pretty strong cumulative delta coming along with it. And again, we never really found like a really dead ringer for like why, what was causing that. And the best thing that I saw was this story suggesting that maybe the Biden administration was somehow going to be able to get a deal before the election with Hamas. I'm extremely doubtful about that, but that's the headline. The only relevant headline I see. The message that has been sent to Iran in recent days from several Western countries and also from the US, next time Israel will go crazy and destroy all of your nuclear and oil facilities if it is attacked again. Well, that would be a big deal. Okay, so we should make note of that one. We should make note of that, and if there is another story or headline about Iran attacking Israel, we should consider that, like, that we should expect rather that the market will act very strongly to that. Okay, so remember earlier I told you that, like, you're going to want to watch these indicators because they do interesting things. Okay. So we had this decline in cumulative delta right here and accompanied by a decline in cumulative delta. Okay. But look right here. Look right here. And right here. Okay. I'm circling too many different things. We started to see an increase in level 2 activity, followed by an increase in stacking and pulling over here. And that was the end of the move. So I'm not saying that that's some sort of signal that we should be watching for or anything, but that's what happened that time. And I think it kind of makes sense that, like, as we go down, like, more and more people are starting to get triggered by it and doing something, and that could it maybe explain this. And so the activity then slowing back down in a little bit could be indicative of a short-term pullback. But I'm really interested in why we had this increase in stacking and pulling here, and that it didn't happen through here. Oh, because it's the largest resting orders. I see. So what happened was when we got down into here, we started to see some relatively big orders in icebergs. That would also make sense. That also means, oh, you know what? I'm misreading this. This is I was thinking this is level 2 changes. This one is the resting orders. So this is saying that as we moved down, that offers stacked on top of it and increased. Is what that means. And then kind of stayed there. Could the fact that they added some liquidity and then they're keeping it on there be indicative of a meta order that with another leg to come? If that works and there's another leg, I'm going to really start paying attention to that. I might take it back off the screen. I just keep it for myself. Or you can go to speculatorseth.com and download it before I can take it off. What? 6.5% of Nicaragua's entire population has entered the U.S. during the Biden-Harris administration? That can't be for real. Elon Musk retweeting data hazard. I'm a little afraid that somebody will come back later and say, oh, that's a misinformation. But that's a staggering stat if it's true. Well, okay, let's see here. Jigsaw Day Trader version 5, beta version. Fixed Day Trader hangs on deadlock. Fixed FTT not showing accounts. Fixed Rhythmic / Tradeovate not showing level 1 data on depths and sales. Fixed current trades not showing for Rhythmic / Tradeovate. Fixed news widget not always loading. Fixed unresponsive day trader when scrolling up on Vista. Fixed unknown interval on charts. Trade markers still visible after scrolling Vista. Menu scroll issues. Strategy window DPI issue. Fixed Rhythmic disconnects when opening settings window. Oh, that was the one that I reported. Well, maybe somebody else reported, but that was one of the ones I reported. So. Okay. Looks good. It's still not to the point where I think I want to use it during our trading session, but maybe if I could like install it 2 times or something. I should ask that over there. I'm going to ask it. I'll ask it in the inner circle one. Good question. Somebody was asking me about the data that I have. Oh, that's cool. Shareable link. I almost forgot that we have a video out about dark pools, and I already have some people posting about it and thanking me. Let's see here. Not bad. I'll post the link in here. I'll do it again at the end of the stream. There's the video link. You can go look at it. Make sure to give it a like and leave a comment. What you got here, Uzi? Unusual whales. A few days ago, Janet Yellen was answering how concerned were you about the long-term status of the dollar. And the U.S. Treasury Department sign fell off. That's funny AF. Wow. Be generous. I get up at 6 a.m. and sleep at 10 between that time and trade. Wait. Oh, so between 6 and 8, I trade from 11 to 3. And during trading, I watch anime. What should I do? I got nothing to do. You should program, probably. I really think that if you're going to be a day trader, that you should learn to program. You don't want to have to rely on other people to do that stuff for you. You should learn to do it yourself. Tommy Robinson jailed in the UK for 18 months for contempt of court. Stephen Yaxley Lennon admitted to breaching a 2021 High Court injunction barring him from making claims about a Syrian refugee student whose lawyers successfully sued Robinson for libel and ordered to pay $100,000 in damages. On Friday, police confirmed that Robinson had been arrested on one count of failing to provide the PIN to his mobile phone. I don't know if that has too much. That's probably going outside of our wheelhouse. I don't, think that that's really going to affect us in markets. It's interesting thing, though. Interesting to me, at least. Kind of sounds to me, though, that, like, the court's trying to punish him for not cooperating with the court. Like, judge said 4 months could be cut from Robinson's sentence if he tried to purge his contempt, including taking down copies of Silenced. As the judge said, this Robinson could be seen mouthing "nah" to the public gallery. Wow. That's like you're saying, we don't like this piece of work that you put out, but we'll reduce your sentence if you take it down. That's... Government shouldn't be doing that. But that's just my opinion. North Dakota voters may end most property taxes. Government programs could face huge cuts. Oh, yeah. How will local governments fund themselves if there's absolutely no property taxes? Well, if anywhere could get away with something like that, it would be North Dakota, right? Oh, here's another Reddit thread about the comic at the Trump rally. Okay, you know what? I think I should go a step further in this Puerto Rico thing. Okay, I really hate this where it's like I have to defend myself with how this is relevant to the market every time. But yeah, I'll complain about it, and I'm gonna justify myself, okay? Because these are things relevant to the election. I don't know how big of a deal to the election this is, but it is relevant to the election. So I think that the next thing that I would be looking for is to see if the Trump team throws him under the bus. I think that if I was in the Trump campaign, telling on myself here, but if I was a politician or a political consultant or whatever, I would probably be telling them to throw the comedian under the bus. That we didn't particularly think that he was that funny, and we regret bringing him out. That's what I would do. Let's see if Trump throws him under the bus or not. You know what? My political instincts are like so wrong relative to Donald Trump's sometimes, right? Donald Trump probably doubles down on it and is like, "Oh, I thought it was hilarious." And then it ends up helping him because then everybody talks about all of the problems that Puerto Rico has or so. Who knows? Who knows? But this is looking like one of the last little battles that we have before the election is going to be about what a comedian said at a rally. That's just what it is. I don't decide these things. Oh, you know, I didn't notice that the market order imbalance really got low. They got all the way to the 40. Going back to this, North Dakota will end most property taxes. Kansas did something similar and found out real quick how fast their economy tanked with a matter of months after repealing property taxes. Within 2 years, massive shortfalls of budget revenues were already amassing and getting worse. By 2017, the state budget was short over $900 million. In all told, from the repeal of taxes to the overall almost government collapse, it took almost 4 years. And it took another 2 years to reinstitute income and property taxes. Wow. You know, I would be in favor of, like, land taxes as opposed to property tax. So the issue with property taxes is that it kind of punishes you for developing the property, right? So if you're an investor and you buy a piece of land, you can, you could develop it and do all of this stuff to it, but you'll have to pay the property taxes on it, and the property taxes will be higher. And so for a lot of investors, it makes no sense for them to do that. And so the lot just sits empty and doesn't get used. Whereas if it was a land tax, quote unquote, it would be a different issue. You just tax on the amount of land that you're taking up. And I've heard some other proposals out there about it. So it could be, but I doubt that that's what North Dakota is doing. And I am kind of thinking, like, how would the government get any revenue if they get rid of property taxes? You're just not going to have a government. And then you're going to find out that actually there is a certain amount of government that you need. Or a minimum amount of government that you need, let's say. It's actually really wild that I didn't know that. No, actually, I think I remember when Kansas did that now. I'm thinking about it. I remember that. I really hate that new Discord notification. Okay, I'm changing it. Notifications. Discord defaults. Thank you. Whoa, wait. Robinhood jumps into election trading, giving users chance to buy Harris or Trump contracts? Upstart broker Robinhood is jumping into the prediction betting game, announcing Monday that users can begin trading the 2024 election that is 8 days away. Users can trade a Kamala Harris or Donald Trump contract starting Monday, said the company, as long as they meet certain criteria that include being a U.S. citizen. The trading is being offered through its Robinhood derivatives unit and Forecast X, which is operated by Interactive Brokers. Oh, okay, so it's not on Kalshi, it's a different exchange that is benefiting from the Kalshi ruling. What's the Kalshi ruling? Robinhood jumps into a suddenly crowded politics prediction markets field that grew this month after platform Kalshi run a key ruling against the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, which was seeking to stop the election outcome trading. The CFTC is appealing the rule shortly after Interactive Brokers launched various political contracts, including on the election. The election markets have generated some controversy this year, with some concern about light volume allowing the markets to be skewed. International platform Polymarket said last week that the single French user was responsible for 4 accounts spending millions to buy the Trump contract, but Polymarket said an investigation found the trading was not manipulating the market. We believe event contracts give people a tool to engage in real-time decision-making, unlocking a new asset class that democratizes access to events as they unfold, said Robinhood in a statement. For now, only the presidential election contracts will be available to trade on the system. Odds and gambling platforms do not use methodologies used by traditional political polling and therefore are not substitutes for political polls. There's another rung lower. Right on time, too, at 9 o'clock, the top of the hour. That's interesting. This, we're gonna have to pay attention to this. This is something that I've always kind of noticed is like if you get a move and the overall liquidity increases during that move, it's pretty indicative of like that move continuing. That it's like like I know that some block trading desks do this, that they like add some liquidity to the market, and that liquidity staying on could be a sign that they are planning on executing additional legs, but the indicator shows it very clearly. I'm not too sure I would be able to make an algorithm that would like be able to detect that condition though. So Hal not looking too good with the sell-off. You mean like he shouldn't have done a 50 basis point cut? I'm telling you, man, this is going to become the narrative. After the election, when we start to turn back towards more economic things and we start to look at the path of interest rates, the discussion is going to become, what is the Federal Reserve's responsibility with their dual mandate when we have a conflict between unemployment and stable prices? And I believe that, at least in the short term, that the Federal Reserve will prioritize the needs of the labor market first. And that they will ensure that we don't fall into a recession rather than completely clamping the lid down on inflation. Could that mean could that mean like new lows in the treasuries? New multi-year lows in the treasuries? I don't know about that. That might be a little bit extreme. But if it turned into like a full-blown second bout of inflation, then that is what you're going to see. And bonds are just going to get... it's going to be absolute chaos. Because bonds will get absolutely slaughtered. And all of those banks that were holding the bonds and were having troubles before will have trouble again. So, not saying that's going to happen. It's just a scenario that I'm thinking about right now that seems relevant to what's going on. Okay, well, anyways, it is time for me to get going. So this sell-off is getting really interesting, don't you think? Like, well, let's come back to the charts here. Okay, well, so we're retracing some of what happened like overnight and everything, right? But like, if we really decide to keep pushing down, you know, it gets really ugly really quickly, man. Really quickly. Woo! Okay, well, it's going to be an interesting week because with a move like that, you know, it kind of came out of where like the market was not doing anything. But if we start to get more stuff like that this week, then that's because I'm expecting this to be a relatively quiet and boring week. So keep your seatbelts on, boys. I will see you tomorrow. Make sure, let me post it here again. I've got a new video out this week about dark pools. Answering some misconceptions that I see out there about dark pools as they relate to order flow. So please go watch that video, give it a like, leave a comment, because I think that'd be some information that'd be really useful to a lot of people, especially beginning traders. So I appreciate all your help with the channel. I have like the greatest audience, so I know you guys will come through for me. I will see you tomorrow. Stay excellent.